Tommy talks about how it kind of would be hell on earth to know that you're not maximizing your full potential. You're not being what God wants you to be and what God had planned for you. God has not put you here to play small, that He wants your light to shine. The real skill and the real superhuman entrepreneur power is being able to get back on track after you fail and learn from those mistakes. Asking questions is like a time machine, because when we can ask questions and we learn and apply and fail forward and apply those things and learn and fail and correct along the way, we can speed up results. You are the sum total of the 5 people you hang around with the most. Hello and welcome to part 2 of our Tommy Mello interview podcast. If you are not familiar with our part 2s, this is where rubber meets the road. This is where action happens. You just listened to that great, amazing interview with Tommy. I love Tommy. He's such an amazing, energetic guy. I've been able to be friends with him and work with him closely over the past couple of years, and it's been a benefit for my life. I know he's been a bit of the life of so many other people. So we talked about a few principles, which we're going to talk about here, and how we can use those to create action and to get you moving forward. Because if you're going to become a superhuman entrepreneur, it's about becoming. It is not just doing nothing and learning. So we need to take action. Go to superhumanentrepreneur.com. That's where our community is, where you click on community, sign up, and that's where you can find this podcast episode, and you can post and you can join the discussion, and we can learn together and progress together and hold each other accountable to become superhuman. So in Tommy's interview, we talked about how going through the gates and after your life and going up into heaven, going through those pearly gates and meeting Jesus. And he says, hey, you meet Jesus, and the guy has someone come up, watch his video, watch the clip if you talked about it. So it brings up like this guy here, this is what you should be. This is who you were meant to be. This is what God has planned for you, and what did you become? And so Tommy talks about how, that kind of would be hell on earth to know that you're not maximizing your full potential. You're not being what God wants you to be and what God had planned for you. And so in our last episode with Isaac, with our assignment, we talked about building this vision. What is that vision that you want for the world? And so what I want you to do is to add to that a little bit. Because not only what do you want, but what does God want for you? Does God have a purpose for you on this earth? Is there certain things you're supposed to do? Is there certain people you're supposed to meet? Is there certain community you're supposed to impact? And as you're thinking about that, and as you're building onto that document and that vision, I want you to remember that God has not put you here to play small, that He wants your light to shine. That's really important to know. We have so much potential of what we have inside, that we want to make sure that what we're building, that vision that we're working towards, is aligned not only with what you want, but with what God wanted for you. Because when that's in line, when the universe aligns, say if you don't believe in God and what you believe in the universe or whatever, or energy or however you want to word it, when that's aligned, those results are going to come faster and faster. And so that's really key. And then once we have that vision and once we get that dialed in, read through it, make sure you're happy with it, make sure you feel good about that, pray while you're doing that if you want to do that, because it can help you to know more and kind of receive the download of what might be out there for you. And then we want to think. We want to take a look and see what that vision is showing you. What is there? And then let's take a quick look and see, is what we're currently doing on path to be able to make that happen? Is what we're currently doing on path to create that business that we want, create that impact, that legacy that we want? Is what we're currently doing going to help us to create the financial future that we want? Is what we're doing going to help us create the family that we want? Are we going to be able to be the husband that we want to be, or the wife we want to be? Or are we going to be the parent that we want to be, or the friend that we want to be? Is that all lined up with what we're doing now? Are we in alignment? Because if you remember when Tommy was talking, he said he had kind of had a wake-up call. He was talking with his cousin, I believe, and she asked him a question, why don't you love yourself? And that really caused him, remember he talked about how he went and he looked in the mirror, reflected, and we had the picture that he took that day. He shared that with us so we could share it in that podcast on that image. And because really that love is so important, because we need to make sure if we're going to love our future, we need to make sure that we're loving ourselves now on that path. And if something's not lining up, go back and change that vision, line it up, make sure. And then if you're not where you need to be, you need to get on track. So if maybe a lot of our feelings for ourselves comes with how we feel. And if you're just energy and focus and fitness or the way that you look, if that's not there, then you need to do something about it. You need to be aware that there's a problem and get yourself lined up to where you need to be. And in reality, and Tommy talked about this in the interview, you walk into a room and people look at you and immediately know if you make good decisions. That's something we can't hide. And so, because it's there, our decisions are us. And so that's really important. If we have this amazing vision that we're working to create in the future, we need to do the things that we're doing now to be able to make that happen. Because over time, those little choices add up to be a lot. The little bit of candy here adds up to be a lot over time. And so it's really, really important to get that dialed in and get that figured out. And once we start aligning where the path from where we are now to where we want to be in that vision that we're going to have for ourselves and for our future, that's the key. It's going to really help us to be driving. So that's what we want you to put in that community. We want you to add to it. We want to build this discussion, ask questions, talk. We want to build a community of entrepreneurs that is going to ultimately become the superhumans that are out there saving and changing the world. Hey, Dr. J here. If you like what you're hearing on this podcast and like the information that we're providing, be sure to subscribe and leave a review and like the podcast, because it helps us to be able to expand our reach to find other entrepreneurs. Your support helps us to reach other entrepreneurs and help us to help them truly unlock their superhuman potential and make the world a better place. And in that journey, the journey is not easy. So Tommy talked about a few superhuman skills that are so important, these superhuman entrepreneur skills. So one of them is the ability to fail fast. And that's really, really important, because none of us are going to be perfect. None of us are designed to be perfect. We are here to make mistakes. The real skill and the real superhuman entrepreneur power is being able to get back on track after you fail and learn from those mistakes. So that's key number one, or superhuman skill number one that he shared. The next one was the next superhuman skill that Tommy talked about was the ability to be able to ask for help. Because there's people out there that have done it. No matter where we are in this journey in almost every direction, there's people that have done it before us. And so we need to find out who it was, find out what they did, and learn to be successful. So that's a really big superhuman power. This is one that was really hard for me. As a doctor, I graduated and I felt like I should just know everything automatically. And patients would come to me and I realized that I had a lot of learning to do, especially in the world of high performance and anti-aging and longevity and hormones and peptides. And that was a new course. People had never done that. I was one of the first articles ever published on the International Peptide Society from a doctor. And so no one had done that before I did it. And I had to figure it out. And of course, people publish articles and different things. And so I was able to happen. But Tommy had a great quote in there about asking questions. He said, asking questions is like a time machine, because when we can ask questions and we learn and apply and fail forward and apply those things and learn and fail and correct along the way, we can speed up results. Instead of taking a decade to learn how to market, we can learn marketing in a short period of time. Instead of taking a decade to build an amazing marriage, we can learn it in a shorter period of time. It takes time to build trust, but there's lots of things that go into that, but we can learn the things that we need to. And so it's really, really important. The third superhuman entrepreneur power that Tommy talked about was the power to build relationships. And I've seen that from Tommy. I've been around him a lot, and I know he is a big relationship builder. He is connected all over. Everyone knows Tommy. He's so amazing. He's everyone's best friend, and that's a skill. It's really hard. There's people that are outgoing. There's people that are introverted, like myself. For me, it's really hard to learn that skill. I've had to learn a lot to be able to build relationships, superhuman power. And I continue to work and try to get better and better at that. So that's really key. And on that, he had two relationship skills that are superpowers that he added to this. So the first one being listening. I know people think that they listen, but you don't listen to just learn what to say next. You listen to get to know the person and get to know about them and really connect with them, because that's really an amazing skill to have. The power to be a good friend and push your friend to improve. So he talked about his friend who was on the couch, and he called him out for being a little bit overweight, and we need to have friends that help us. It is very, very true that you are the sum total of the 5 people you hang around with the most. And what people don't realize is those relationships that exist outside of your business probably have a bigger impact on your business, on your day-to-day business, than you realize. And that's why I feel like marriage is so important, and being married to the right person, because marriage is the ultimate and best way to be able to accelerate your growth as a person. We'll definitely talk more about that. We're going to have some few guests on to talk specifically about that, and building a marriage that does that. but having a friend that pushes you. And if they're holding you back, if they're not helping you with your goals or holding you back from your goals, they don't need a lot of time in your life. You need to find people that are going to help you. If you're going to really create and achieve that vision that we talked about with Tommy and with Isaac last episode, you need people on your team. The universe will bring people to you. You just need to add them to your group and add them to your team that helps you. The journey can be really hard if you're trying to do it by yourself, but having those relationships that to help guide you along the way is so super key. The big assignment is dialing in and figuring out what God wants for you and how does that fit into your vision and what is your ultimate purpose here on this earth. What are those important things? And like I talked about last episode, you can't leave off the marriage, you can't leave off the parenting, you can't leave off the friends, those communities, because those are the lasting impacts and the relationships that you'll remember forever and need forever to have the best quality of life possible. And then those other things too, just kind of be aware. Be aware of what choices are you making that are adding up over time. What is your body trying to tell you? Am I good at asking questions? What questions do I need to ask to get me unstuck from where I'm at? And how can I access that time machine to speed up those results? And how can I build relationships that are ultimately going to be translational, not transactional, and help you to move forward to bigger and better and higher things? That is how you become a superhuman entrepreneur. You enjoying the podcast? Help us reach more entrepreneurs like you by leaving a review. As a thank you, everyone who leaves a 5-star review will be entered into a drawing for some exciting prizes. We are here to help you more than just listen. Head over to superhumanentrepreneur.com, click on community, and join a powerful network of entrepreneurs that are striving to be their best. Each episode includes action steps, resources, and accountability to help you to implement these ideas and start seeing results.